Greetings ladies and gentlefish, a few more subscriber replays for you, and today we are looking at a couple of Tier 8 premium tank destroyers. We've had quite a few tank destroyer replays lately, but that's the way it goes, I guess. And this one, we're joining My Name is Puffs in the AMX CDA 105. This is the French Tier 8 premium tank destroyer. And, well, he's top tier. He's going to do well, which in and of itself isn't necessarily enormously special, no offence intended, Puffs, but the bit that I like about this is that he's on Ensk, which is not a map that, as a general rule of thumb, people tend to expect fragile tank destroyers, and I think it would be entirely fair to put the AMX in that category. People don't expect fragile tank destroyers to do well. Now Puffs is coming up to this position over here. He's just trying to find an exact spot that works for him here, because, well, the building here, you need to be able to see over the window ledge, and the AMX is a fairly low profile machine, which in many situations works in its favour, and in this one it does kind of work in its favour, makes it hard to hit, but you do have to sometimes choose your position with care. So an AMX 12T pokes his nose out there, Puffs spots him. Puffs does not actually get spotted in return. Now there's usually a tank destroyer down at J1, so it's not as if Puffs really wants to open fire unless he has an actual honest-to-goodness target to shoot at. Because, oh hello, because if he does, he may well get slapped in the face in return, though he's not the easiest target in the world to hit, and that T25AT is, well, making a mistake, and Puffs just executes him with 2 shots. They know Puffs is here. I'm not entirely sure why they think they should be risking poking out in front of this tank's 105mm gun. I mean, it's not the largest caliber gun found on a tank destroyer, don't get me wrong, but why get slapped in the face for 390 if you don't have to, especially if you're a 1 or 2 shot anyway? Seems a bit curious to me. But hey-ho, that T25AT clearly had better things to do with his time, and that AMX as well. I mean, he gets away with it because Puffs was just about still reloading, but that could have gone a little bit sideways for him. Anyway, Puffs has managed to pick up 1 kill, with actually a couple of high damage rolls there. 2 lots of 420 on that T25AT, unfortunate for him. And hello Mr. IS3A, and I'll be honest, I think that was a poor shot. Puffs should either have actually properly aimed that, or at least auto-aimed it. He did neither, and, yeah, what, I mean, that was just unlucky, that one there. Can he pick up the kill? Come on, come on, come on, there we go, that is the kill. But yeah, the second shot there, I think, was just unlucky, but that first one, I understand what Puffs was trying to do, but, I think he could have been aimed slightly better. It's all very easy to say, of course, with the benefit of hindsight and sitting here without any pressure on your shoulders. Anyway, KV3 and an IS shot there into the KV3, and Puffs here is brawling in a pretty fragile tank destroyer, which is why I like this replay. Aiming this shot now, and there we go, that KV3 is having a very, very bad day. Now, I don't know why the KV3 isn't even looking at Puffs here. Oh well, let's not complain, I suppose. And keeping an eye on the minimap as ever, Puffs' artillery explodes, and he notices there's going to be an AMX 12T, that light tank, coming up his backside soon enough, which is never something anyone wants. Ooh, misses. And there we go, a nice shot into him to dissuade him from any further cheekiness, perhaps. Or at least allow his allies to punish him for it. Bunch of tier 6 and 7 tanks now rushing into position. There goes one of them, finishing off the AMX 12T, and this should just be an opportunity in which Puffs is able pretty much to farm these guys. And whilst the AMX 12T, whilst the AMX CDA 105 doesn't have the best armour in the world, especially when it's not able to use its gun depression, and it does have a big fat obvious weak spot on top, when it's lower tier tanks shooting at you, you can kinda make the armour on this thing work. Although, having said that, Puffs hasn't even been shot yet. But there are only 2 allies left alive on Puffs' team versus 4 bad guys. This is a game on Ensk. They tend not to be overly long. I must admit, Ensk is not one of my favourite maps. I personally think it should be restricted to lower tiers only. I put the map very much in the same category as Mittengard and things like that. It's a small, cramped map that just mashes 2 teams together and you see what happens. There's very little opportunity for finesse and whatnot. So I think it would be much better restricted to lower tiers, but hey ho. I mean, you can see on the minimap the view range circle that Puffs has is pretty much the map. Anyway, Puffs is going hunting. Now that GSAW 1008 is a very dangerous tank, and we have to assume that guy's fully loaded. He can take out Puffs there in 3 shots, and he's got shots into Puffs' side and bomb potentially. Puffs is trying to turn around, puts a shot into the guy, and gets safe. Woo. 2 shots taken there from that GSAW, loading APCR for some reason, presumably to try and make sure that he can do something about the defender, actually, thinking about it. But either way, that guy actually low rolls both times. Puff's got a little lucky there. The chap has 320 average damage. If he'd done 2 average rolls, Puffs would currently be bereft of about another 30 to 40 hit points and would be in potential one-shot territory. Now, if the defender can roll forward and just take the 2 shots that the GSAW will have, and between him and Puffs they're able to finish the GSAW off, then they've basically got this in the bag. The defender actually goes off early. Puffs rolls for 481, which is a very high damage roll on this gun, which has 390 alpha on average, and the defender should just be able to go in and execute this GSAW at no risk to himself, essentially. The guy is going to have 1 shot left in the magazine. He's screwed. I mean, that's just the reload on that tank for you. There we go, and that just leaves the 2 artillery now. Never underestimate the power of artillery, of course, but it would have to be something pretty special for these guys to pull a win out of the bag in this scenario, because even if they manage to kill Puffs, there's a half-health defender behind him that then have to deal with. Oh, a miss there. And you could argue about whether Puffs should load HE here. I was just about to say I might be tempted to do so, but then the guy's only on 340 hit points, and it just not really necessary, and you risk the HE round not penetrating, and that is the game. Like I said, games on Ensk don't tend to outstay their welcome. So let's have a look at the post-game stats. So that actually ended up being enough for Ace Tanker Bruiser. Fire for effect, Pascucci's medal for shutting down the 2 artillery at the end there, high caliber, tank sniper, and of course a top gun for picking up those 6 kills. 4,265 damage done, 6 kills, 1,398 base experience. Shout out should go to the defender on the friendly team, over 4,000 damage from him, 3 kills, 1,276 base experience. It's not typical that you get 2 tanks in a matchup like that doing over 4,000 damage and over 1,200 base XP each in order to carry a game, but you did in that scenario. Commiserations to the enemy GSAW, 3,736 damage from him and 3 kills. He could fairly reasonably have expected that to be enough for a win, but it was not the case today. 16 shots fired, 14 hits, 13 pens for that damage count, most of which was from close range, because Ensk. 3 hits received, 2 penned, 1 did not, just showing you that even when you're top tier, you can't expect too much from the armour there, and even that shot that didn't penetrate, it didn't actually bounce, so go figure. 2 enemy vehicles spotted, 8 damage, 6 destroyed, 530 assistance damage, and 141,000 credit profit. It's a pretty nice result, however you look at it. One more game for you today in another Tier 8 Premium Tank Destroyer. So for this game we are joining Panties again, and he's again in a Tier 8 match, but this time there are no Tier 6s or 7s to shoot at, which is a shame because his tank would like that to be the case. He's platooned up with Chaos Raven and Samuel X, both in 703-2s, and Panties is in the ISU 130, which is an unusual sight. You don't see this thing very often, and truth be told, is a bit of an odd duck. I believe originally this tank was only available to community contributors, possibly, but I might be slightly misremembering that, so don't quote me too much. Basically, this is an ISU, like the ISU 152, or the ISU 152K, but with a 130mm gun instead of a 152mm gun. Now, while this thing has lower alpha damage than the 152mm guns, it still hits for 490. But you might notice only 215 penetration, which for a Tier 8 tank destroyer is somewhat lackluster, especially a tank that isn't weighed down with an over-encumbrance of armour. But what makes this tank odd is not just the poor penetration, it's the ammunition. So you get armour piercing for its regular round, with 490 alpha and 215 pen. For its gold round, you get more armor piercing. Fine, there are plenty of tanks that have that as a situation, but the case here is kind of like the ISU the SU-100Y, the Tier 6 Soviet Premium TD, because the premium round actually gets higher alpha damage. Your alpha goes from 490 to 570, but your already uninspiring penetration drops from 215 to, is that 187? Oh. So, what does all that mean? Well, that means that what you have is a tank destroyer that can't brawl that effectively. You still have the hit points of the ISU-152K, not the regular ISU-152, so that's 1,000 hit points on a platform with... Basically, you have to assume no armor. I mean, you'll get the occasional bounce, but it's not the sort of thing you can rely on. It's kind of sluggish, so you can't brawl in this thing. But you have at best 215 pen, which I imagine, I don't own this, but I imagine makes games where you're not top tier rather painful, and you're even going to struggle against some tier 8s, taking 215 pen shots from range. But if you're top tier, and if you have targets against which you can penetrate, you can load up the gold and do more damage. Now the thing with the SU-100Y, which gets a similar sort of setup, lower pen but higher alpha damage on the gold rounds, and you could actually say similar things about, for example, the Centurion 7. That gets Hesh as its gold round, with lower pen and higher alpha damage, but the thing with those is, generally speaking, their regular AP round, well, in the British cases it's also a high explosive round, their gold round that is, but the regular AP round gets decent penetration, so the SU-100Y gets just shy of 200 mil of penetration with its regular AP round, which is, on a tier 6 tank destroyer, absolutely fine. It's pretty decent. Ooh, nice reload on this gun though. But this thing doesn't, so you have to make 215 pen work, which I imagine in some situations could be an intensely frustrating experience. Side of the Carnarvon there, and ooh, that was a low damage roll. It would have kind of been nice, actually, for Pansy there if he was loading gold, which he is now, because you've got a target you can penetrate. Oh, of course that only blows his tracks off. And so you can be doing, what is it, 530? 570 alpha instead of 490, which is quite a nice upgrade. Now, the Carnarvon is deciding discretion is the better part of valor, which is fair enough, and if we actually have a look at the minimap, oh, there goes Chaos Raven. If we have a look at the minimap, we can see that the other flank is not looking too hot. There's a stubborn ISU-152K there who either can't or won't see the writing on the wall. I'm pretty sure he's not too long for this world. And there's, well, enemy medium tanks who are going to be flanking around if we're not careful, and Pansy has only managed to put 2 shots in, or 2 damaging. Okay, 2 shots in that took off your opponent's hit points, just to prevent any pedants out there going, well, it did damage the Carnarvon, it blew his tracks off. Yes, 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 but that's not what I'm talking about. So, yeah, Pansy's setting up here, ready to shoot the bad guys in the face. Now, against the Barask, of course, the premium round here will do more damage. Against the Object 274, though, you probably want the higher penetration round, to be honest. I mean, I say higher penetration, it's still only 215, but that thing's got some armour to work with. Now, to be fair, the penetration difference here isn't astounding. 187 versus 215. Oh, hello, Mr. Carnarvon, how are you today? Oh, side of a 30, side of a 30, side of a 30. Reload, reload, reload. This gun does have a pretty tasty reload, and 603. Yes, that was a high damage roll, but only just. And, well, if that guy's gonna do funky things, he gon' die. So, this is one of those tanks where the gold round isn't really an I win button, it's just an interesting option that if you use it tactically, I mean, it can do you well, but it's not just flat out better than the regular AP round. It does, I imagine, though, render... Oh, hello, Mr. Object. Does, I imagine, render the HE round a little bit of a moot point, because your alpha damage only goes up to 640, which isn't that big an increase, although, to be fair, I suppose, you could still splash people. Going for the lower front plate here, and Pansy actually makes it work with the lower penetration gold round. Unfortunately losing his gunner in the process, but there's a rather incautious 703 there, and oh, incoming Udes, this could sting. Aim, 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 bang! Oh, and the Udez bounces. Like I said, this armor will occasionally bounce something for you, but you cannot rely on it, and he dies before Pansy can bring his gun around. And suddenly, there's only 3 of them left, and Panties has 5 kills. Ooh, misses. That's quite nice. Progetto there is coming around, but not looking at Pansy. He's going for Pansy's platoon mate there in the 703. He might come to regret that. That's actually a low damage roll, believe it or not. And it looks like that guy might have spent his load a bit soon, and whilst he's in an auto-reloading tank, not an auto-loader, so he may well be able to load another shell, his DPM, if he has spent his magazine, is going to take a bit of a clobbering there. Well, with the friendly IS-6B showing that the good old IS-6 has still got it and taking down the enemy IS-3, that just leaves this Progetto, who manages to take down Panty's last surviving platoon mate. And, ooh, hello replay bug, how are you today? And appears to be coming for Pansy here. Can he try his luck? He can, but, well, that was always going to be a little bit optimistic, let's be honest. And that's the match. Another pretty quick one for you there. So once again, let's have a look at those post-game stats. So there we go. That one was enough for Ace Tanker, Bruiser, Duelist, Fighter. Wait, no, Fire for Effect, sorry. High Caliber, Top Gun, and Spartan, which is not the sort of thing you typically expect to get in a tank destroyer, but he managed to bounce that shot from the Udez, which was nice. 4,537 damage, 6 kills again, 1,532 base XP for another tank destroyer brawl fest. Although this time it was because things, well, in both cases I guess it was because things were going rather wrong. So go figure. 14 shots fired, 14 hits, 12 pens for that damage count, most of which was from basically point blank range. 4 hits received, 3 penned, 1 didn't. 1 enemy vehicle spotted, 7 damage, 6 destroyed, 460 assistance damage, 1.43 kilometers travelled, and he fired some gold rounds for the higher alpha damage. A little bit of ammo, a little bit of money even spent on ammo, still an 88,000 credit profit. Bish bash bosh, that was done. There we go. 2 quick kind of brawling tank destroyer games for you, but this time in machines that not necessarily really built for brawling. Hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, by all means feel free to catch some of my other videos and or subscribe to my channel. And as ever, I wish you very happy hunting on that battlefield. Ciao ciao.